And welcome back to TBS Presents Sport Magazine on radio. I'm John Daly. Time to talk football, hockey in Las Vegas. JT the Brick is one of the well-known voices on sports radio. His show is called The Brick at Night with JT the Brick. It's heard on Sirius XM's Mad Dog Sports Radio. He's also the midday host on Raider Nation Radio on 920 a.m. in Las Vegas. JT, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. Good to be on. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you as well. You're going to talk football in a little bit, but I want your take on hockey. Since you're near the Golden Knights out there, what's your take on why the NHL is doing so well as far as stopping the COVID?
I think the NHL totally understood that they needed to be in a bubble and, a real bubble. We thought we were going to be one of the bubble cities in Vegas all along, but then our COVID numbers spiked right before the decision, and I think they made a great call going to Edmonton and Toronto and not allowing us here in America to go there. They have a border that's shut for that, and they have COVID under control. In sports are much better than we do here in the States. So I think the NHL realized that, and so far it's been fabulous. The hockey's been great, and I think that it's the right way to go, to be safe and to get all these games in, because unlike baseball and other sports, you don't want to start and stop. And with hockey, it looks like they have it completely locked in, where they'll be able to complete the Stanley Cup playoffs and have a Stanley Cup champ.
Do you like the idea of just turning on TV and it's just game after game after game after game?
Yeah, I do. I grew up with hockey in Long Island in the 80s with the Islanders winning the Cup, and always been a hockey fan. But now being in Vegas with the Golden Knights, and I'm totally behind them as an inaugural expansion team that came in and just totally took over the city of Vegas and have one of the best home ices in all of hockey, and it's just great. The fans love it. The team's been great. They're built to win the Cup, so I love it. Hockey's not the number one sport for sports talk radio, but it's nice to have it on all day because hockey fans are being rewarded.
All right, we are talking to JT the Brick. He hosts The Brick at Night with JT the Brick on Sirius XM's Mad Dog Sports Radio in Vegas. He's the midday host on Raider Nation on radio 920 a.m. All right, let's talk a little football now. I'm not that confident about the NFL season starting, let alone going the distance. What do you think?
Well, it's going to be tough. I'm confident on them starting the season because they're not playing a preseason. So with not having preseason, it opens it up so they can start and everybody can be COVID negative. Then it'll get interesting. When you put NFL teams on airplanes and travel into cities and put them in hotel rooms, but it's going to be much more stringent than people imagine. Players aren't going to be able to leave the hotel. They're not going to be able to converse with the public and do anything like that. So they'll keep that close to bubble environment, and then they'll tighten it up when they're on the road. As a matter of fact, it'll be much safer when teams travel on the road than it will be when a team's in their home city and they're allowed to go home every night to their family and kids and neighbors and all that. So I'm optimistic. It's going to take a lot of work, but the NFL's put a lot of money behind it with COVID testing, and the players know they have to be responsible.
It's interesting because obviously there's a lot of physical contact in hockey, and they've been doing well. It seems basketball's been doing well. But maybe the difference is that football's not going to be doing that quarantine or that bubble. Would you say that could be the difference?
It could be, but there's no possible way they could do a bubble. I mean, you can't. It's impossible to have that many guys on a roster, 80-man roster with 53 starters and practice squad players and coaches. These people have families. They're not going to live in a bubble for 17, 18 weeks. That doesn't even include the playoffs. So you can't do it. It's impossible. What you can do is you can have a strict bubble-like atmosphere where they come into the facility. They're tested every day. They know that they're COVID-free. And then when they go home, you test them again the next day and you try to stop an outbreak immediately. So if someone tests positive on an NFL team, you're able to figure it out quick. You quarantine that player. You know the players that player was around. See, what's going to happen, John, is a lot of these guys aren't going to be around each other. The wide receivers are not going to be with the offensive linemen. You're not going to see a bunch of kickers hanging out with defensive backs. So everybody's going to be separated. And when they're on the practice field, they're going to be separated. And then when the offensive line and defensive line gets together and they practice, If a defensive lineman ends up testing positive, they'll know who they were around on defense and the offensive line and the quarterback, and then they're going to have to be really on top of it quickly to make sure that it doesn't spread. And it's all going to be about tracing and the opportunity to quickly find out what happened and react quickly, unlike baseball, where baseball, look at the St. Louis Cardinals. One person tests positive, then 3, then 4, and they're afraid to go forward. They want to quarantine and stop everything. NFL can't afford to do that, and the NFL only plays one game a week. So with one game a week, it's not going to be the end of the world if someone tests positive because they'll have a substitute player to step in.
Wow. Actually, great points. Great points. We got about 3 minutes left. I want to talk about what's going on in Vegas as far as the Raiders. Let's get away from the COVID, but what they've done out there with the Allegiant Stadium, the practice facilities, the offices, absolutely fantastic. Tell us what your experience is from what you're seeing out there.
Well, it is fabulous. The Raiders went 5-star and built a brand new stadium that came in on budget, $2 billion on time, and then they built the practice facility, which is as good or nice as any practice facility in the world for any sporting team. So they have now five-star facilities going forward, which will give them the ability to compete with other teams. So everybody should be excited about it. And the Raiders left Oakland, and that's tough. And a lot of people, including me, wanted them to stay in Oakland, but the politics got in the way, and now they have much better facilities and a better opportunity to win with the resources they're going to have in Southern Nevada.
Yeah, and it's just gorgeous out there and what they've done. I agree. I've been out there a number of times watching it being built, and as someone who lived in Las Vegas for a while, hopes to live back there again. I'm pretty excited about it. Hey, I got about 2 minutes left here. There's a lot of guys out there who I think want to be the next JT the Brick. What's your advice to guys who want to break into sports broadcasting who didn't come from there? Because you came from the financial world and you did it. What would your advice be to folks who want to be the next JT the Brick?
Well, great question. I appreciate that. It's just you got to outwork everybody. You got to come in with a plan. You just can't get on radio. The good news is what you can do now is podcasting and an opportunity to get hired by a podcaster and get an opportunity to get reps on the air and get an opportunity to sound good and build your craft and then get on the radio, and then you have to get on the radio and work. You can't turn down shifts. You got to go on late at night, got to go on the weekends until someone hears you. And cream rises to the top, and your talent gives you an opportunity to get in the door. There is no easy way to do it, John. And I'll tell you, for the younger guys coming up in the business, it's a lot harder. A lot of people give me credit for the way I did it, which was unique through the Jim Rome show as a caller. But now it's much more difficult with the economic environment of radio and some of the problems that we're facing in a pandemic. So you got to get lucky, you got to be good, and you got to be willing to outwork everybody else.
And you got to love what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely.
No doubt about that. He's one of the best. We've been talking to JT the Brick. He hosts The Brick at Night with JT the Brick. It's on Sirius XM's Mad Dog Sports Radio. Listen to it if you get a chance. Also, if you're in Vegas, he's the midday host on Raider Nation on 9:20 a.m. in Vegas. Hey, JT, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Good talking to you, buddy.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Hey, we're just getting started, folks. TBS Sport Magazine is back. Great stories and all that a sports magazine should be. Go to tbssportmagazine.com. It will soon be back as a monthly publication, as it was for more than 5 decades. That's tbssportmagazine.com. Got a question, opinion, or suggestion for the show? Drop us a line at tbstvnetwork@gmail.com. When we come back, the Miracle on Ice, Mike Eruzione. We'll be right back.